This episode is powered by Poddex.
One of the things that I realized I wanted to be able to do, because I started helping folks and it felt really, really good, when they had something that they were interested in, but they didn't really have a lot of confidence in their ability to get there. And I'm like, you absolutely can get there. Let's start exploring what that looks like. And we would break down what the obstacles were to getting what it was that they were trying to do and moving them forward in that direction.
Welcome, everybody, back to another exciting show of the About That Wallet podcast. Today, I have a wonderful guest by the name of Jennifer Benson. How you doing today, Jennifer?
How's it going?
It's going great. We've been talking quite a few times. We actually had a botch a prior episode because things were just the audio was so horrible, and we both know it wasn't the best of ourselves. So thanks for coming back on the show to kind of share your story. So what have you been up to all this long time?
Start with the fiery questions.
Yeah.
So over the time since we last spoke, I've kind of evolved a little bit in where my focus was, because I was doing music. I love music. And as you're aware of the fact I have a disability, as that started like really kind of taking hold on my life, it changed the quality of my voice, which completely transformed everything. It was like, wait, stop. Who are you even anymore today? So I had to start thinking about what that tomorrow version of Jen was going to look like. And it was interesting, because as you start going through this own personal, you're going through your own personal journey, you discover that you have other talents and other gifts to give. So I learned that I was able to help other people find the things that they're passionate about and turn that into a living, whether that be getting a promotion or starting their own company or doing something with the family, or creating things like creating artwork, creating music. And it was pretty encouraging, because it took me from Jen the musician to Jen the coach that still does music, just completely different since transition and everything.
Well, that's good. So, because I know the illness, but what is your illness, so people can kind of be aware and get an understanding of how it actually impacts your day-to-day life?
So I have several different autoimmune diseases, which I think the biggest one would be the lupus, but there's other ones that also impact other parts of me. The one that impacted my throat made it so that the quality, when my throat became inflamed, the quality of my sound changed. And even just my everyday voice is modified a little bit. And I suppose that happens with age too, but it really does put a damper on it when you're like this super soprano and all of a sudden
You become an alto.
You're not hitting those notes anymore, and you're like, oh wait, no, let me not try that again. The cats are crying.
Wow. So, but I mean, it's really good that you still, find another avenues in music and in your passion. So what is one of the things that your immediate change was that impacts you to kind of keep you pushing forward?
I think the immediate changes, I love the art. I love the music. And as I started struggling and trying to figure out, well, who am I now that I don't have the art? A lot of really close people, friends, associates, family were saying, the art doesn't die because it changes. It just simply becomes something else. And you have to figure out what that other thing looks like, because you'll always be a musician, whether you create music or you don't. And that feedback was really helpful, because it helped me to see that, you're not defined by your limitations. right? You just have to figure out creative ways to move forward. So I still, like I mentioned, I still create music. It's just very different.
So, what do you do now? Because you said with the vocal side of the house, do you still sing songs, or you do just the kind of the editing side of the house now?
So I do a lot of the editing side of the house, and I am attempting to create a rap song. I'm not a rapper, so we'll see how
So
it
stop
goes.
rapping at you. Okay.
If it's successful, it will be the first one I've ever made, and it would have been quite the journey and transition from classical-esque type music to rap.
Okay. That'd be interesting. Now, is it rap or hip hop? Like, what's the difference there?
I would say it's rap because it's, well, I don't know. Maybe someone else would disagree. I would have to consult one of the experts in that genre. I think I'm entering a space that I've never been in before, so it'll
All right.
be an interesting transition for sure.
Nice. So now that you've experienced this change, and we're coming into this new year, just kind of figuring out ourselves. And a lot of people have changed a lot since last year, especially with COVID, understanding that there are different ailments and people are kind of worrying about their health a little bit more. So what is it that you're doing now to kind of help, bring you your full self every day?
So that is a very good question, especially because, as I mentioned, I have several autoimmunes. So the idea of catching the virus is very concerning, because with the asthma and all the other things, they say you would probably not do well if you got it. So what can you do? You take extra precautions. You make sure you wash your hands regularly, wear the mask, keep the social distancing, trying to figure out what that new normal is. How do you even greet someone remotely? Well, hello. The elbow acknowledgement, that's always nice. And trying to continue to live my life according to my terms without allowing all that extra fear, because the fear kind of, it takes away, like you hear someone cough, your initial reaction shouldn't be get out of here. You might have a frog in your throat. I don't know why you're coughing, right? But understanding that we can't lose our humanity and what makes us special as a society and as a people because of fear. So that's kind of how I've been trying to navigate, keeping that sense of humanity while still washing regularly.
So because you want to talk about like living for your passion, can you explain that a little bit more?
Well, in this day, you see a lot of people struggling with, how do I earn an income? How do I do stuff? I don't want to be berated. I've read articles about people that are, the retail industry is taking a huge hit, right? Because they're the easiest folks to let all your frustrations and anger out. You didn't make my coffee with the 2 spritz of sugar. I'm gonna throw it in your face. It's terrible. But they're people too, and they're also going through their own struggles. And so one of the things that I realized I wanted to be able to do, because I started helping folks and it felt really, really good, when they had something that they were interested in, but they didn't really have a lot of confidence in their ability to get there. And I'm like, you absolutely can get there. Let's start exploring what that looks like. And we would break down what the obstacles were to getting what it was that they were trying to do and moving them forward in that direction, to the point where they were able to successfully reach that goal that they wanted to do. If it was with someone who wanted to put out a song for the first time, they're like, I know you've put out music, but I can't put out music. I don't think that I'm talented enough to put out music. Like, I kidding you? Of course you're talented enough. This is how, let's look at what is it you want to put out. They were like, well, I can't do instrumentals. Well, there's a place for that. There's
Yeah.
actually an entire platform where you can find and buy instruments to use for your music. So you don't have to have that skill. Well, the software, there's software for that. There's free software all the way up to like paid super fancy stuff. Like really, there's when you're trying to figure out how to do something that you're passionate about, the first thing you think of is all the reasons why you can't. And what I do is help them see all the reasons why they can. And then it's up to them ultimately to decide how to move forward. I can't move you yourself, right? But I can say, hey, these are some possible solutions to some of the problems that you mentioned. And there's others if you want to explore them as you're moving through it. And let's see, we can do this together. Or you can do it on your own and, run with it, right?
Yeah. So, because we always hear that people have those issues. What were one of the negative excuses that you always have for yourself to kind of do before you
For
even get
myself?
started? Yeah. What are your excuses?
I'll say this. I'm going to get a little personal, and maybe we can edit it out later. But when I was about 8 or 9, my aunt we were sitting on the bus, and I was telling her that I wanted to be a singer when I grew up. I'm telling her I love this stuff. And she was like, oh, Mommy, that's such a lovely dream. But the reality is, you got to kind of lower your expectations because you're just probably going to end up barefoot and pregnant. But it's okay. Find a man that is good and will treat you right, and you'll be fine. And I'm sitting there and I don't know what to make of it. I was like, I just don't know what happened. I told her I want to be a singer and travel the world. And she told me, yeah, you're going to be barefoot and pregnant.
Yeah, tell her how it is, Yeah.
So any single time I want to try something new, that thought, that seed that she planted pops in my head. It's like, you're not good enough for that. Just be happy. You got a husband, you have kids, you even got cats and dogs. You're set, you're good. Just be grateful. Stop trying to shoot for the stars and chase after dreams. You don't have it. And it is hard. There's some days it's hard to look past that little voice that tells you can't, or you just not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not talented enough to move forward. And you have to make a decision to try anyway, in spite of those things, because you believe that you are worthy enough to have it.
Yeah. And one of those things is, it's nice that you have that nugget of negativity that always pops up because it pushes you further. I'm like, I'm going to show you. Yeah. I'm not going to be barefoot with some kids running around, even though today you might be barefoot with some kids. But you kept your passion throughout that whole process. And I commend you for that, because a lot of people usually just give up and come up with the different excuses. And I know that you mentioned that you help a few people out with that. What is one of the most memorable moments that you've done for somebody?
One of the most memorable moments was this gentleman who I met when he was part-time homeless guy. He had just gotten a job. He didn't even have a place to live. He was trying to figure that out. And he had cancer. So his outlook was very, very bleak. And him and I chatted a few times, and we started to chat more seriously because I started to notice that he had all these things that he wanted to do, and he had no idea if he was ever going to do them because, from his outlook, he didn't really have a whole lot to go off of. And it was something special because we sat down, had lunch one day. I said, why don't you write a list of everything that it is that you would like, that would bring you to that place where you're like, you know what, this is good. And he's like, Jen, that's a pretty big list. I was like, well, can I see it? He's like, I haven't written it yet. So, well, when you've written it, if you want to share it, I'm here to lend an ear. And so he wrote it. He wrote out this list, and the list was pretty aggressive. And I looked at this list and I was like, that is pretty aggressive. But you know what? You can do it. And why don't we just start by breaking it out and looking at what can you do first, and then what can you do second? And we did that. And he started going through one of the first things he did was he was able to get an apartment. And then he was able to get a full-time job. And then he was able to get an apartment independently of his relatives, which was a big deal for him. He wanted to be able to live on his own without anyone. So he went through that first step. Okay, I got the apartment with the family. All right, that's fine. But then he was able to get to that apartment. This is my apartment. This is my place. I own this. This is all mine. He had his job, his full-time job, and then he beat his freaking cancer.
Nice.
And it was against all. I struggled with that one because I was like, I don't know how he's gonna achieve everything on that list, because one of the things on the top of the list was I want to be cancer-free. But in order to do that, he had to spend hours going through the treatment and still working because he couldn't afford to take time off. And the guy, he did it. And then when he did it, he said to me, we looked back, it was about a year later, we looked back and he said, I can't believe I actually accomplished everything on that list. Now I want to write a new list. I was like, that's exactly what you do. Because once you finish one list, it's time to go into the next one, because now you're ready for that next part of your journey. And that's what this is all about, like living those moments of achievement. And they're small. You start out small and then you have those big ones, like, I want to be cancer-free. That's pretty, I still think about that. Like, I don't know how you did it grow, but it's pretty impressive. And he added new things and he met those goals.
Wow.
And that's, to me, what it's all about. You choosing what it is that you want. And I just help you figure out how to remove those things that you think are blocking your way from success, and letting you get there, because you're going to get there on your own, right? But sometimes you need someone to say, that's not really a block. That's like a door. Those Harry Potter shows where there's a wall there, but it's not really a wall. You just got to walk through it. Like, that's not really a wall. Just walk right through that bad boy. You'll be all right.
Right. Listening to your story, it sounds as though there is power in writing things down than just letting them live in your head. And then secondly, you kept your own thoughts to yourself because you were like, I don't know how you're going to do this, dude. But it's the cool thing that, the rawness of the process is that some things it's okay to share, because it's like, yes, I believe you can do this, even though you have no clue how they're going to do it. And the cool thing I love about this podcast is that I actually have the idea and a chance to bounce ideas off people and actually write them down, versus you doing the exact same thing, but in real life. I say not in real life, but with the person right there by your side.
Yeah, right.
And as a coach, it makes the most sense to kind of say, you know what, you really got it. And don't put any negativity or negative energy into what they're really passionate about.
That's right.
Because then it's going to it doesn't turn into a passion project at that point. It's trying to turn into more like revenge.
I'm going to prove her wrong.
Right.
The bus, he's just going to be barefoot and pregnant.
Barefoot. That might be the title of the show. And that's
the thing, with all the folks, I always they one of the first things they have to do to work with me is they have to write down what it is they want, because that's how you start. You can't just tell me today, well, I just want to be rich. Well, that's not really a thing, is it? I mean, it is a thing, but it's so objective, right? It's not subjective. It's not something that you can put your hand on and say, I want to own a company that does blah, 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 blah. Right.
Yeah.
I want to create music or rap, become a rapper. Those are things that you can actually hold on to. You can plan against those. You can look at what it takes to see that become a thing. But these abstract concepts, I want to find love. Okay, well, what does this love look like to you? Does this
That's a good question.
Does this partner, is this partner meant to bring you happiness or be a part of the happiness you already have inside of you? Right? Complement it.
Yeah. For those of you who are about to get married or engaged, that should be a question that you should ask yourself, like right now. Before you jump the broom. Yes. Because it might not be the one you think it is. It might be the secondary one. Just saying.
Oh man.
This is not a marital podcast. This is a financial one, talking about financial habits. So when we get back to the financial side of the house, you talk about the passion and being in the music space. And we all know that music industry is it's easy to get into when you look at it from the sky level, but actually the meat and potatoes, what's behind the curtain. What is the financial things that a lot of people need to look into, especially when it comes to music?
I think it's going to depend on how they want to go about tackling it, right? Because there's a lot of different ways. When I first got started, I thought, got to go through the studio, got to make it like 100% pristine. And that was a very expensive, very unfortunate thing because it didn't really make the quality so much different from producing it at home, which was interesting, actually.
Kind of sad.
Lessons learned.
Right.
Don't need a big studio unless their studio obviously has big benefits. If you want marketability, big studio, they're going to help get your name out there really hard and fast. But then you see there's some of these newer artists that are coming out with this music, and myself and my family, we like listening to the newer artists. We watch some of their stuff and we see that they did it. Something like one of the artists does it in her bedroom most of the time.
Nice.
And she's got millions of people that purchase her music, and she's creating her pieces in her bedroom because the scenes are clearly taking place in her bedroom with different scenes. What drives them to her and what drives us to her is the fact that her music has substance. It makes you feel like you are a part of entering into her world. And that's pretty impressive. And I think that's what the music has. So to say, what do you need? What does it take to get into it? You probably need to have some of the basics. You need the microphone for the quality sound. You want to have some lighting. You want to know how to either create instrumentals or know someone who creates instrumentals or willing to put some money out to buy some instrumentals. And you can do that from as cheap as like $20 to as much as like $500. So again, budgeting, I don't know what your budget looks like, right?
Right.
But there's a lot of options. And then
so what's the website where you can go to purchase the music?
Soundclick.com.
Okay.
Purchase it right there. And I don't not sponsored by them.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Just use them because they have lots of instrumentals. That's where the musicians and the instrumentalists are all on that platform putting their music out there. And it's a really good site if you want to hear all kinds of different beats, all kinds of different music.
That's good. Interesting, because I've been using YouTube Music for free music because they have some really good stuff there. But you have to actually create a not the business account. I don't think no. As long as you have a creator account and just go to YouTube Music, you can just download everything right there.
I mean, that's true.
It's
I like
limited.
using SoundClick because, and you're right, you can use YouTube. The reason to me to use SoundClick and actually pay for the stuff is because you are actually helping another artist just like yourself
Smart.
build their own business, because now you are helping, like, by buying their music, you're contributing to that, like, to their success as well, right? Not just yours, but theirs too. So that's why I do that over the I do know YouTube, and yes, there are benefits, and sometimes if your budget's tight, it's definitely a good way to go. But supporting other artists with their art as you're making art is, if it just, it's good.
Okay. So when it comes to your business, what exactly do you help artists with?
I help them figure out what it is they're trying to achieve and how to achieve it.
Okay. So do they just kind of go to your website? Like, how do they get in touch with you?
So I have them book like a clarity call. So it's a 15-minute session just to kind of see, is this even a good fit for us? Is this the right direction for you? Is this something that makes sense? And during that conversation, we're able to figure out if that is the right way, because I have other options. So as when I'm on my, like, Instagram, for example, I explain, for me, it's not about the money. Like, you'll hear someone say it's a clarity call, and then you get on, it's like $3,000, $5,000, $10,000. Yeah, I could see why that would be the case, but my audience is gonna be folks ranging from, I don't got a cent to my name, to I can afford a $3,000 to $5,000, right? So when we have the clarity call, I want to be able to point them in the right direction. So I have a free Udemy course that kind of walks you through the fundamentals of how to plan to be successful. And it breaks down the benefits of the writing of the list, the putting a schedule, the setting small, achievable goals, like the mindset shift that needs to take place from the scarcity mindset to the abundance mindset. Because if you don't believe that you can do it, no amount of planning in the world is going to change that, right? Then there is the one-on-one, like, hourly sessions with me, because you only probably need a little bit. You just want someone to bounce some ideas off of. That that will be an option too. And then there's the time where someone says, I want the full deal. I want the whole year. I want your time. Like, if you got nothing else better to do,
Right.
spend all your time with me. Well, that's going to cost, right? So
Right.
It really just depends. That's why the clarity call kind of helps to figure out where does it fit? Does it work? How can we move forward? Because everyone deserves an opportunity to be successful, no matter where they are, and no matter what mistakes they may have made in the past. Because that's the beauty of life. We make mistakes and we learn and we grow from those mistakes. We get better and better and better. And then sometimes we'll make more mistakes along the way, because that's just the way that it goes, right?
Right. I mean, that's how we do everything around here. So speaking of mistakes, let me stop. But move forward.
This episode is powered by Pod Decks. Pod Decks are unique interview questions and episode starting prompts in the palm of your hand. So whether you're a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience and have more meaningful conversations, you're going to want to check out Pod Decks. Now, if you want to get 10% off your order right now, you can go to poddecks.com and type in coupon code. What's the code? Yes, that's the code. Check out poddecks.com. Take your podcast to the next level.
Yes.
First question is, what is the main quality you think makes a great parent?
Not ready for the question. Just kidding. That is a good question. So as a parent of a 17-year-old and a 12-year-old, I think I ask that question to myself every day, because I look at my kids and I say, how did you end up being so brilliant? It can't be me because I am not brilliant, but you are, right? So how did that happen? And I think the quality that they appreciate is the fact that they know that this is a safe space. They know that they're free to be true to themselves. They know that they're free to tell me whatever it is that they want to tell me, and that they won't be met with resistance or negativity or anything like that. There's a trust there. And I think that trust helps them to feel confident in their own skin and in who they are and in what they want to bring to for their own future, with how they want to build their lives. So,
all right. Next question is, what upcoming life event are you excited about?
Excited is probably not the right word. But as I mentioned, I have a 17-year-old who is going to be a senior next year, and will be going off and starting his journey. So it's exciting because, we've worked really hard to get there. But I also am very nervous because it means that my baby is not a baby anymore. And yes, I'm going to be a little bit sad when he's gone. I hope I don't do that crying mom thing that everyone talks about that they hate. But it's probably going to happen.
I'm sure we'll tune into your Instagram for you to make sure we get to see that. All right. Last question from Poddex. If you were given $1,000 to spend on your closest friend, what would you get them?
Ooh, that is a hard one. What would I get them? A diary.
Oh. So you give him a $20 diary and keep the rest.
and cash, man.
Okay.
Here's a diary, here's some cash, bottle of wine, cup. I don't know.
Give him a budget calendar.
She has a lot of kids, so the house is always full, and there's not a whole lot of time for herself. And the diary would be a way for her to disconnect without actually disconnecting, right? Because she'd still be present and still be meeting the needs of her family, but she could also meet her own needs, because by writing down her thoughts, her hopes, her dreams, what's going on, some of her passions, that might help to be the motivation that she needs to be the person that she wants to be at home. So that's why I said a diary. So maybe a $60 diary.
Right.
A fancy pen.
Yeah. Well, you can give one of these about that wallet pens.
Boom. That's
nice
right.
Gold one.
Gotta get one of those.
Right.
She'll be like, I'm writing in style in this.
Great. All right. So that's it for the podcast. From the poddex.com. If you're interested in getting your set of Poddex, use the promo code WALLET, and you actually get 10% off of your order. So what do you think about that, though, as you being my guinea pig for the Poddex?
The promoting the
questions. Yeah. The questions.
The questions. I don't care.
Okay.
The questions were they were pretty generic, so nice. The $1,000 for a gift, good lord. Like, oh my god, our PlayStation? I don't know.
Yeah, they had plenty of questions on here. I thought these were actually pretty cool.
Yeah, no, they are. It's cool. If for an interviewer, if I ever went into that, I would probably want to get something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on a little bit to the strategies. I know we talked about a little bit about how you actually strategize with guests, but I want to just kind of know from your take, strategizing from like having nothing from your passion to growing it to now where you're actually making money with your passion. So can you talk about that a little bit?
So I wasn't fully tracking the question. I apologize.
Because on your Instagram page, it was saying like how you take people passion to now they start making money with that passion. So can you just kind of talk about some of the strategies that you use to kind of get to that to that level?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you this example. It was I say a few years ago, 10, 15. Uh, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I also wanted to feel like I was contributing to society, because the idea of like being a stay-at-home mom was just like, for me, it was really hard because I didn't want to be exactly what my aunt had said, very pregnant. So I started freelance writing. And basically I was writing articles and blog posts for customers, random customers. And they wanted my work more and more and more, to the point where I had more work coming in than I could handle. So I said, well, this is a very unique problem. I don't want to turn anyone away, but I also don't want to do all this work because I have to also, raise my kid. And so I hired my first freelance writer.
Wow.
And so me and the freelance writer, we were taking the work, and then it was still like both coming in hard. I said, man, I think I need to hire another one. And so eventually I ended up starting my own company. And from there, the freelance writers were like, well, Jen, now you got people coming in, you got to do training, get them all set up, help them. We got to get a platform. So I was building all these things. And I was like, man, I'm putting a lot of work
Yeah.
into what was starting out as a part-time gig just to give me time off. But at the same time, there was this sense of personal satisfaction, right? Because I took something that I enjoyed doing, which was writing, and I literally turned it into a company where I had 23 people working for me, writing every single day with all the new work that was coming in. And things from writing books for people, writing complete marketing campaigns for people, setting up social media campaigns for people. We had done all of those things. And as those clients were becoming more successful, we were in turn becoming more successful, which was truly, truly a blessing. And it showed me, and it taught me a very valuable lesson. That experience was that it really doesn't matter, what skills you think you may or may not have, how talented you think you are, how business savvy you think you are. If you have a passion and there's something that you love doing, and you're saying to yourself, I want to do this, and I want to do this and make a living off of it, you absolutely can. Even if something as simple as, I want to write for other people. And that became a thing. And so I was able to build a company from there. So in my mind, there are no limits to your success other than the ones that you place on yourself.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. And then, so now that you're at this writing level, but you also still have the music in the past. So it's like you're a woman of many talents, as most of us are. And it's just kind of depending on, it's almost like you took each talent and just kind of ran with it. So it's like, I like writing. Let me just see how this goes. I like music. Let's see how this goes. Hey, my daughter likes to sing. Hey, come on, do something too. Hi, everybody.
I did sell the writing company, though, just in case anyone is wondering, well, how can you write for me? I sold it. It was a wonderful experience, but I was ready to move on to the next thing. Yeah, I had something to prove at this point. I wanted to see, can I do this, which was the music, and that's where I'm at.
Ooh, so I never had anybody that sold a business on the show. Would you mind talking about that experience right quick?
Sure. It was actually it was pretty simple. So I had an S corporation, and I dissolved the corporation, and then there was a platform where you could sell the actual business license and the website and all that came with it. Well, whatever you wanted. If you wanted to sell the whole package, you could. And so I put it all on the platform.
What's the platform?
Oh gosh.
Is it Biz Buy Sell?
To answer that, no, it was many years ago. I would have to look it up.
Okay. I know about Biz Buy Sell.
Send it to you. And
yeah.
You can add as an addendum or something.
You can send it to me.
Okay. Yeah, and put it there. Someone bought it. transferred over all the stuff. And as I said, I dissolved the corporation and they took over the company. So all the rights to it. So as new customers came in, they would go through their portal.
That's awesome. All right. So it's just pretty much use a broker and they just took care of everything else.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. It was super easy. I mean, I say super easy, but emotionally it was hard. But actual process, super easy. Dissolving the thing, super easy.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. That you can actually start this business, run it for years, and then actually just sell it off and move on to the next venture. So you're never stuck.
You're never stuck. Exactly.
Yeah. So let's move on to the third segment, which is talking about the features. So like just to kind of see what's new and exciting for you, and also what do you think that's going to kind of stay the same as you go forward within the next 2 years?
Well, I'd like to make sure that I have gotten more organized. I'm trying to learn how to use Instagram a little bit because I just started it about 30 days ago, and I'm getting it, but I'm not getting it because there's a whole lot of different things and different suggestions on how to best navigate it. I was like, I was kind of trying to keep it simple, but hey. I don't know. We can complicate this up a bit, I guess. We'll see how it goes. I'd like to get better there. One of the other things I was gonna try to do, and my children were open to doing it, was having them do recordings for me of their instruments on a more regular basis, and so that I could start putting some of their music into my music, because I think that would be a really powerful statement to show how, you take something that you were passionate about as a little kid, and now as an adult with your own, adults almost, and they're helping you to turn your passion, and evolve it and turn it into something really special. And so that's exciting. So they're open to doing that. I just haven't quite figured out the mechanics of how to do it yet, but we're working on it. So ideally, I'd love to be able to see that happening within the next year or two. The audience, those who listen to my music, being able to hear some of their influences.
That's cool. So would you say it's fair to have nepotism in the beginning of your business?
Yes.
I mean, if we're just going to cut straight to it,
I can see why, like, for larger companies, it's not so great to have that, because for, you've got thousands of employees, you want to give everyone a fair shake. But there's like a mom and pop shop. Mom and pop shop, sorry, they're always going to give it to their kids or their cousins or nephews, nieces, you know what I mean? That's what you're trying to build. Like, you're building it for them, really. And then as it grows, I think some point there's supposed to be some invisible line, and I'm sure there's a legal line too, where that's no longer a thing, where it's like, no, they got to earn their way through. But I think when you're small, like what I've got, sorting them out.
It's free labor. Let me stop.
They do nothing for free.
Okay. I'll leave that one alone, because they might be up there. It was like, well, you get a free meal, you get a roof over your head, right?
That's fair. That's fair.
You ready for the final? Is there anything else you want to talk about before we get to the final 4 questions?
No, I think we've covered a lot of what I was thinking we were going to cover. So this has been a lot of fun so far.
Awesome.
Well, hopefully, now with the last question.
Hopefully it's still good. These questions. Number 1, what does wealth mean to you?
Ooh. Wealth means to me being able to have a feeling of financial security. I don't think it's being debt free. but I do think it's being free from bad debts that don't actually add any value to what you're trying to produce. Things that will help you grow your wealth or your financial abundance will add to your wealth. So I think that I'm wealthy because I have just two amazing children that I'm so incredibly proud of when I look at them every single day. I have a husband who will move the sun, the moon, and the stars to make sure that I'm okay. And I know that not a lot of people have that. And so I think that makes me pretty wealthy because I've got that blessing of a companion, right? I have the home that I dreamed of having, and it was absolutely like bonkers because when we were looking at the house, we couldn't afford it. And I said, this was the house I wanted. And they dropped the price significantly,
Wow.
allowing us to be able to afford the home. And now I live in my dream home, which is, what do you say to that? Right. I have pets that follow me around the house, literally, and it's weird, but it makes me feel like I have a lot to be thankful for. And so, and obviously we do all right financially, but for me, wealth is a combination of all those things. It's a combination of all the things that make your life whole and complete, including the financial, because the financial is only a part of wealth.
Definitely. Number 2, what was your worst money mistake?
Oh man. So during the period before I owned the writing company, I was trying my hand dabbling and investing in, like, I wouldn't say MLM. So they're high risk, high yield investments. And I was so sure that I had a good investment that I had convinced my husband to drop quite a large chunk of money into it. And for the first month or so, it looked like we were going to do okay. I thought, okay, we'll be able to recover our money. This is going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. Best investment decision I ever made. And then they closed their doors and we lost everything.
Wow.
So
wow.
we didn't pull out anything. Not a dime. It was all gone. And then my husband was like, wow, we really needed that money.
So no divorce papers were signed that day?
No, very, very lucky, very lucky. I know if the roles were reversed, I don't know.
Right. No, we might have to get the husband back on the show, see what happens. All right, you ready for question number 3?
Yes.
What is your favorite financial or non-financial book?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yeah, I know you know.
Yeah, everybody wants that.
Love that book. Yeah. I think he has this way of being able to speak to, the average person where you read it and you're like, I think I understand what you're saying. I'm with you. I know I'm going to do it. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it. Okay.
Do it, right.
And I know it's not real estate because
you got another option. Got the other quadrants.
Yeah. But he definitely motivates you to want to do something, start to build something. For sure.
Nice. Number 4, what is your favorite dish to make?
So I think if we rephrase that and say, what is the favorite dish that my family loves, I get into that. What's my favorite dish to make?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with chicken and rice.
Hey.
Super simple. But
baked chicken or fried chicken?
Yeah. Well, no, fried chicken's more complicated because, like, you with grilled chicken,
Yeah.
10 minutes. You done in 10 minutes. The rice,
Yeah.
15 minutes. Easy. Love it. Love it. But if I want to do something where I'm saying, I love you, I will take a whole chicken, do this marinade, cut up some diced potatoes, slow cook that bad boy for about 8 to 10 hours, and then make a bunch of sides. And the family will absolutely love me.
Mm.
Do I love myself for spending 8 to 10 hours on the chicken?
Yeah.
When I could dice it up and spend 10 minutes? I don't know. But they do have a preference for the other chicken because they said it always comes out very moist and tender, and they love to eat it. So
Good. All right, Jen. Well, last question. Where can people find out more about you?
well, right now, probably Instagram because I am rebuilding my other channels.
Okay. Nice.
Oh, Instagram. At Jennifer S. Benson.
Got it. And I'll make sure it'll be displayed the whole time you're talking.
Thanks, because I had to think about it. I was like, what's my Instagram? I don't remember.
I'll make sure I'll put it in the show notes.
Thank you.
Welcome. Well, Jen, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. I wish you the best in everything that you do. I'm sure you have it written down somewhere. so you can make sure you achieve them. And again, this show has been sponsored by Poddex. And make sure you get your copy of it to get 10% off using the promo code WALLET, WALLET. All right, everybody. Be safe. I'm out. Peace.